Oop, hang on. Okay. There we go. I think maybe I got everything set up. What's going on, guys? It is I, Sly Cooper 88, also known as Steve, and as you can see by the title, both live and later on, this is a demo for a game called The Town of Light. And this intrigued me when I saw this, because it had popped up randomly on the PlayStation Store. I didn't really know much about it, so I looked up the description of it just to see, like, okay, what is this game all about? And it's a story narrative game, which I love those. Love them to bits. And it's a very dark game. And it's not a game that's to be played by, like, younger audiences. It's more for adults or people that maybe have, like, aides or workers with them. It's not for anybody because this game focuses on mental illness. The entire, and I kind of had to stall for a second or two just so I could pull up the Wikipedia to describe it to you guys. But The Town of Light is a psychological horror adventure game developed by LKA. The plot. The game is set in a mental hospital in Tuscany, Italy. And I unfortunately don't speak Italian, but I can't pronounce the name, but it's an asylum that, from what I had read and my interpretation, is still standing today. Like, they've made it a historical site, kind of like how, Auschwitz and whatnot have become like historical museums and like locations that you can visit. And this was a mental hospital that was around in the late 30s to early 1940s. And this game was completely made from the ground up, guys. Like, they made this the game development team went to Italy, most of them, and they interviewed doctors, nurses. They walked around the asylum itself, taking photographs, both from the inside and the outside. Like, they documented this thing extensively, and they were wanting to create a game that kind of showed you what it was like being somebody who was committed back in a time when there really wasn't much research and much, I guess you could say, like, know-how on how to deal with people with mental illnesses. And the game kind of takes you through the eyes of a character called Renee, who was admitted to this, asylum, this hospital many years ago. Back in the 40s, like 1946, I think, is the year that they said it, that she's in there. And it's just one of those, like, story narrative games, very similar to, what was that one game that I haven't played very much of, but I need to play through? I think it's called Waiting for the Rapture. Or no, They All Went to the Rapture. Yeah, like They All Went to the Rapture, or another great example of a game like that is The Station, which recently came out. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like story narrative games like this always intrigue me, because the emotional aspect of it really kind of gets you drawn up. Like, you're just wandering around these spaces and you're looking at pictures and solving puzzles and stuff, but it's the emotional journey of you discovering what happened along the way that I think makes these games so appealing to me. Anyway, yeah, it's like Renee now enters the now dilapidated asylum to relive her stay there. As the game progresses, it becomes known that the principal character, Renee, was admitted due to bipolarism, or they say it bipolarism. I had to laugh at that. But bipolar depression, and a volatile relationship with her mother. Her mother basically thought she was crazy. Her father is unknown, and she found comfort in a doll named Charlotte. The doll is then found and carried around by the player for a short time. So it's one of those games that basically she was committed at a young age, and her only comfort was a doll. And the whole entire point of this is it's one of those games where, and I'll start the game up because I don't want to be spending half of the playthrough talking to this, and it's already like 5-6 minutes in, and some of you guys are like, okay, Steve, we appreciate that you're telling us the game, but, can you, actually get into the game? And it does start me off with the last chapter, guys. I started it a little bit. I was going to play it for myself, in my free time, and then I decided, you know what, I want to take you guys on this journey with me, because mental health awareness is something I'm very strong to. I will admit, I'm not the nicest person in the world, guys, but much like many other people, if you feel like you're really depressed, you have a lot of really bad anxiety, or you just, you feel like nobody really cares about you and you're contemplating very dark thoughts, please go get help. And I don't say that to make you sound like you're weak. I say it because I care as a person. We all get scared and wish that we could reach out for help. And not everything works for everybody. Some people prefer medication. Some people want to talk to a therapist, have a therapist more as a mediator. And sometimes you just need the solace of having a good friend or family member that genuinely cares about you. Sit down and listen to your problems. It's that's the biggest part, not even just in this country, but the world, that I think is the problem, is we, especially in America after the Florida shooting, we've now stigmatized mental health. And that's something that doesn't sit well with me, and it always irritates me as somebody who is autistic, on the autism spectrum, which is technically part of the mental health diorama. That they say, well, this person was schizophrenic, or this person was... What people need to understand, it's not that they couldn't get help, it's when people reach out to try to get that person help, everybody's woefully ignorant. And that's a discussion that I would think after all these shootings in the last 7-8 years, people going into these, especially since Columbine... Now, Columbine, the kids were just evil, and, that's more anti-bullying, but I'm saying, guys, we need to have a serious discussion, not so much about gun control, but I do believe that there should be some regulations, but I don't believe that taking away guns is the answer. I think what we need to do is better background checks, and I also believe, and I'm not trying to make this political, but I'm just saying we need to, especially here in the United States, we need to start really evaluating people's mental health, not for a stigmatism or for stigmatic reasons, but to really get people that need help the help that they need, or a guiding hand. I see it too often, whether people notice or not. I see people that struggle with anxiety. I see people that struggle with depression. And it breaks my heart, because I know those people are scared to ask for help because people are going to chastise them and make them feel like they are weak. And we never should do that for anybody that wants to come forward and say, hey, I'm struggling with really bad depression, I need help. Instead of if somebody doesn't want to maybe try out Prozac or try out medication, just talk to the person. You don't have to say anything. If they want, and especially for those who suffer from a lot of those problems, it's don't be afraid if you eventually find somebody that genuinely is a good friend or family member that you can trust. It's if you want their opinion, understand that, they may give you constructive criticism, but that doesn't make you a weak person. and it never should. And that's unfortunately what's happened, not just in the world, but in America in particular. We have stigmatized mental health and say that we want to help get a solution to the problem, but we don't. And, you know, playing this game's kind of brought up a lot of that out of me. Like, guys, I'm a very fun-loving person. I like creating fun playthroughs. But a game that has a serious topic like this deserves a serious discussion and monologue from me. And I was hesitant to even want to play the demo of this because I'm a very emotionally triggered person. But I figure, especially with you guys, I want to do this journey. And I may even buy this game and do a full playthrough of this because I want to be able to go through this game. Much like, you know, what happened to Edith, you know, Fletcher, all that stuff, you know, Dear Esther. It's like I play these games because I want to take you guys on the journey that I'm going through. It's I don't know. It's just anyway, let's get into this, guys, because I don't want to hold off any longer on starting this, and plus I want to see how long this demo is.
What's happened? What is this
1942,
place?
there we go.
Maybe I'm dead. I can't see any light. Maybe I am dead. I can't get up. What's going on? What's happening to me? There's no one here, but these noises. God, my head is killing me. I can't keep my eyes open.
So this is one of those games where in modern day you're searching as Renee, but you flash back to certain periods of her stay here at the asylum. And from what I understand, that hospital that this is based on is still standing. They've made it like a memorial museum. And there was like a lot of mental hospitals, especially back in that period and whatnot, when it started coming to the light that a lot of doctors and nurses and staff abused a lot of the patients rather than help them. And that's, I mean, you're talking about it inspired by real events. I mean, you're talking about a time when mental health was not, I mean, what can I say? You didn't know what it was. You didn't know what was wrong with people. And that's so sad that a lot of soldiers and whatnot who had PTSD, or in this time, or in the timeline of the 30s and 40s, they called it shell shock, you know, that they were just committed because they were broken. And people didn't know how to fix them, and that's the sad part, is they just didn't know back in these periods like what we know in modern medicine today. And I do applaud the game developers because they're very sensitive about this game. That's why, and you guys can flash forward a little bit, that's why I kind of let you guys have a moment to kind of screenshot. You can You can go back and watch that later and just like, freeze frame it, but they talk about how this is based on real events. It should not be played by kids or teens that suffer from depression. It should be played more by adults and adults who have sought help, etc. And that's not to stigmatize people, but it's just the developers are very sensitive because they know the subject matter in this game is going to be very delicate for a lot of people. Like I said, I'm playing the demo because I want to see for myself if this is a game worth investing in the future when it goes on sale, because I love story narrative games like this. And it's fascinating. First food rationing improvements. Now, see, a lot of these newspaper clippings, these are from the 40s and whatnot, so it's like, it's talking about like World War II and stuff like that, like hinting at stuff that was going on inside, inside the world at the time, but in this asylum it was news like everybody else on the outside. It's just kind of sad when you think about it, that we've come a lot further with, how to diagnose and help treat people with mental illness, but you got to think about back in the day, like most of these doctors and nurses, a lot of the good ones, the ones that didn't abuse the patients and tried to help, you got to think that it broke their heart that they wanted to help these people, but they didn't know what to do. They didn't have the answers. It's like, that's the part that really makes it sad. You got to imagine what it was like if you were somebody that knew you were sick or were ill, and you didn't have any answers. Instead of the doctors helping you, they tied you to a bed, they, shoved pills down your throat, they gave you electroshock treatment to try to correct your brain. It's like, it was more like they tortured their patients rather than help them. And that's just imagine that scenario for a second. And imagine that people died in these asylums because of all this mistreatment. And most of these people they didn't care. The doctors just chalked it up to these people being weak. It was just, you're either going to be cured or we're going to die, or you're going to die trying to be cured by us.
Time. Memory.
It just... I don't know, it's like I wasn't born in those time periods, but I've always been very empathetic in my mindset of imagining when I'm at places like this. Like, even though this is a fictional representation and Renee is not like a real person, or she's loosely based on a real person, like a patient that stayed at this asylum, it's like, this is all real. They took photographs of this, guys. This asylum, like I said, is still standing, but it's like, can you just imagine, like, without all this fencing and stuff, protecting the perimeter, can you just imagine being taken in a paddy wagon and drove here in a straitjacket or against your will, like restrained? Imagine the heartbreak of those families knowing that for some of their family members and even their children, they signed them away to basically be imprisoned for the rest of their lives. Like that. That weighs heavily on my soul a little bit. And some of y'all are saying, well, that's, Steve, that's not what... that's not you. You weren't part of that. True, I wasn't. I don't know. You look at places like this and you think about the history, you think about the people, and it's just some part of you has to basically feel very sad. Because some of these people, they needed help. And instead, they were kind of left scared and alone. Like, see, this is the full grounds of the asylum. Old-timey photographs. It's just, we just live in a time, guys, where things are so much better. Like, in terms of institutions that will actually try to help people. I mean, I don't know. I can't form my thoughts together. I'll probably just be quiet for a couple of minutes while I regather myself, and it gives you guys time to concentrate on the gameplay. I don't mean to make this, like, so heavy, guys. I don't mean to make this so heavy, guys. And I didn't mean to go on that diatribe about, like, you know, the Florida shooting just to try to correlate to this game, but I'm just saying, you know, the media stigmatizes mental illness. And when you guys look at this and look at what the people that went through this had to go through before, you know, it was shown that all these methods at these hospitals weren't working. You know, it kind of angers me because it's like, you know, the media is pointing it in the same direction that what we were trying to steer away from with, you know, facilities like this. And also adding, you know, the whole, well, you know, we need to revise the Second Amendment. Like I said, guys, I don't like doing politics on this channel, and I'm not. I'm not trying to make it political, but I'm just saying the media needs to stop stigmatizing mental illness. Because what that does is it makes people that have actual mental issues, that want help, feel like they are being ostracized. And I am very much against that, being somebody who was ostracized so much and put down and mistreated because of the fact that I, quote-unquote, had a mental disorder. So I feel very strongly about that, guys. I make no apologies for how I feel, but I make apologies to you guys because I don't want to bring you guys down. But like I said, you know, playing a game with this serious a theme, you know, it bears me actually being serious for once. Part of me, if I ever would get the chance to visit Italy, I would want to try to, if I was going on like a European backpacking tour of sorts, I definitely would want to come here, possibly, and just walk through here with like a guide. Or maybe like, you know, friends that are close to me, because I have a feeling before I even step in the door, I probably would break down crying. I mean, this is a game, and I literally kind of started welling up walking through here because
The only thing I remember clearly is Charlotte, my doll.
Like, just walking through this place, even if it's in a digital format, it hurts. It hurts so much. But, and this is just the demo, but part of me would like to eventually get the full game. The full game's actually on sale right now. And I might do that. I might actually get this game, and I got another fun game, a game that would counterbalance this. Oh, yeah, there's no power. I forgot about that. Is the power back on now?
Nobody says we can't. Let's find Charlotte.
Okay, so I guess we're going to find Renee's doll, Charlotte.
No, no, she's freezing. She's alone. Let's look for her.
Okay, so we can't go that way. Let's take the stairs. We can take the elevator another time. And see, that's the bad part, is most people break into places like this.
Let's search the wards on the upper floor. There's a plan on the wall which shows their location.
X-ray room, I guess. Okay, we can't go that way yet. Surgical ward.
Renee doesn't want to abandon her.
Okay, so we found the doll.
Mummy took good care of Charlotte. She tucked her in, hugged her, gave her cuddles and kisses. She was very affectionate and loving. Nothing bad happened to Charlotte, and that surprised me. I didn't understand. At first, I was quite scared. I was afraid that she wanted to hurt me. I lived in constant fear that Mom would abandon her. Because I didn't deserve to live. I didn't deserve to be loved. It's cold and it's dark. Look, she's cold. She'll get ill. We can take care of her. Nobody can stop us. Charlotte is a good girl.
See, I don't...
Charlotte is cold. Let's take her somewhere warm.
I'm not really seeing much of anything, guys, because I don't really know what to say at this point. I think I've exhausted every...
He doesn't want to. Not Charlotte.
Definitely, guys.
He'll get angry. I know he'll get angry. I saw a wheelchair on the ground floor. It's comfortable there, and we can put Charlotte somewhere warm. Charlotte will be comfy here, but But it's cold. No, it's cold. Don't shiver, Charlotte. The cold will go away. It'll go away. We must find some warm lights. Let's go to the surgical ward.
Yeah, and pull this out. Yeah, I'm getting stuck on the wall here. Oh, they inverted the wheelchair controls, really? Sorry guys, I'm trying to maneuver this. Physics has never been my strong suit. But yeah, I don't really got much else to really say, guys, because I think this game's pretty self-explanatory at this point. Can we actually pick Charlotte back up? No. Okay. Can I go forward? Oh, radiology room.
He doesn't want to. No. In the town of light, he doesn't want to.
Aha! But yeah, we we do need to start having a more serious discussion.
The cold has gone away now. You see? The light, the warmth. We can do it. The cold will go away. It has to. Now we can enter the ward where everything started.
Yeah, it would help if I... Okay, this is getting kind of creepy. Whoa, oh, I do not like this. Okay, I'm tripping balls right now. Anybody who has epilepsy might want to turn away now, because this is getting pretty bright.
One day I turned off the light, but it didn't go dark. It was a limitless immensity, a blinding, merciless light. I was 16 years old, and I was afraid, always afraid, a fear that wore me down. I needed help, but I couldn't speak. I was terrified of everything, even thinking. They said they were taking me to a place where the fear would go away, where I would get better. I stopped living in there. They dragged me away and stripped off all my clothes, everything. I tried to explain what was going on in my head. They tied me to the bed for days. I was alone with my nightmares. It wasn't fear anymore. It was madness. And when you're mad, you cease to exist.
That's just horrible.
She was my only hope in this hell. I was descending down, down among the damned. But that woman and her smile kept me alive.
And the sad part is too, most people weren't really insane, or were taken advantage of because they asked for help. And some people, some doctors vindictively falsify documents just to keep them there. It's just, we will never know what went on in a lot of these asylums, guys, but what we will know from what stuff had came out, especially after a lot of places shut down and asylums like this were exposed, you know, we came to find out that just so much cruelty went on in places like this. And like I said at the beginning of the video, it's just so important that whether you're somebody who suffers from mental illness or has a family member or loved one or even friend who is suffering, that they get the help that they deserve. They shouldn't be afraid to get help. They just shouldn't. But that's, unfortunately, it's no different now than it was back then. People are scared to get help because they think that stuff like what we're seeing happen to Renee is going to happen to them.
The door is locked from the outside. Here, the doors can only be locked and unlocked from the outside.
Just so sad. Okay, I have a feeling that dark hallway is where we're supposed to go. Oh, it's so eerie. And that's it, I guess, for the demo.
It could take forever. I was alone with my nightmares. It wasn't fear anymore. It was madness. Because I didn't deserve to live. I didn't deserve to be loved. I was descending down, down among the damned. But that woman and her smile kept me alive. She was my only hope in this hell.
So guys, that is the demo for the Town of Light. I definitely will probably end up getting this and doing a playthrough of this, but even after I get it, I'll probably wait a little bit, because even just playing the demo, guys, that was powerful, and that's gonna stay with me for a little bit. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough of the demo for the Town of Light. As I said, a serious topic like this deserves a serious discussion, and me be serious, not just fun and, bombastic like I usually am. So, I certainly hope that you guys understand why I take it seriously, like I said, because I'm not trying to draw correlations and this and that, but I'm just speaking from my own experience and my own filter and lens that... Oop, almost knocked the earphone out my ear. I just am gonna have to pontificate upon this. I'm gonna have to ponder upon like what the game has presented to me in, like a short demo. But anyway, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and certainly, as I said, if you are depressive, bipolar, etc., or you know somebody who has a mental disorder, please don't be afraid to ask for help or help people out to get the help that they need, because it's so very important that people get the help that they feel they deserve, and that they shouldn't be ostracized or made to feel stigmatized because of what they're going through. And I think we all deserve to be shown a little bit of compassion and empathy. So with that, guys, I'm gonna stop the video right here, and I hope that you guys have a good one, seriously, and I also hope that everything that I've said, especially encouraging people to get help, has like really hit the nail on the head, really been hammered home. Because I do care about you guys. Even if you guys don't know me from Adam and I don't know y'all from Adam, it's like every one of y'all deserve at least a little bit of happiness. That's why I do these things. That's why I stream on Twitch. It's why I do videos for here. It's why I've tried... Right now it's a dry spell, but that's why I do a lot of my comic writing, and I try to incorporate topics like this, or try to participate in topics like this, even in comic anthologies. It's because it's something that I really want to try to get my voice out on and really talk to people, and people have very strongly encouraged that maybe I do this for school kids from elementary upwards, but my fear is that the language I use may not be conveyed the way I want it to be. And really, I want people that when I talk to them, I want them to feel like they can be open with me. Not fully, but at least to a certain extent, to where, I always get worried that I give bad advice, but I've also gotten to an age now. It's so funny turning 30 this year that it's only been like, the end of February, and already I've had almost like a growth spurt, like a growth stunt. Like my mind has just really tried to look at things from a little bit more of a mature perspective, if not a lot. And I think it's so funny. I used to fear turning 30. Now that I'm 30, I'm like, nothing's really changed except for my drive and my passion and, a certain certainty of what do I really want to do and what do I want to contribute to the world. And I'm not saying that I'm going to get it right every time, but I want to contribute a lot of good to the world. And I think we all do, but I feel like I need to try to find ways to do that. Instead of sitting around being frustrated like I used to, I am trying to find ways to better grow as a person, now that I'm, at, as they call it, dirty 30. I don't know why they call it that, but I'm getting to a certain age where, yes, I'm trying to think my problems out more than, just feel like I'm smashing my head against a wall and trying to, find the answers. So, with age comes wisdom, they say. So, I hope that when you guys watch this, that you watch it with a very mature mindset, and I hope that, and to all my younger subscribers or viewers, if you've already watched this entire thing, kudos to you, number one. But number two, I hope that when you watch this demo that it doesn't trigger you. And that's why it's very scary for me, because I know that I possibly have a couple of younger subscribers that watch my stuff. And I'm not going to tell you guys, and I'm not going to be you guys' parents and tell you, oh, you shouldn't watch this video of mine, this is too bloody, this is too violent, this is too dark. That's your parents' job, not mine. But I do want to reiterate to a lot of my younger viewers, it's like, don't be afraid to ask for help. People can make fun of you, they can call you weak and pathetic all they want, but they're envious of the fact that you are wanting to actually get help, that you're wanting to say, hey, I don't want to do this alone. That doesn't make you weak. Having other people around you makes you stronger. I've learned that so much in the last couple of years. And I feel so terrible for the people around me that have to go through the same repetitious thing of when I go through a depressional spout. But they stick with me and they try so hard to try to find ways to help me. And I've never tried to take that for granted, and I hope I never do. So just something for my younger subscribers to think about. Like, don't feel like you can't go and get help. Or don't feel like you can't go and talk to somebody about this stuff. But just know that when you do it, you're opening a door that you may not be able to close either. So if you are 100% sure that you need somebody to talk to and that you really, really want to do this, you really want to commit to trying to help yourself by reaching out to other people, then, I fully support you. I 100% support you, and I support anybody that does that. Because it doesn't make you weak, it makes you strong a person. We all need to help each other. That has become the problem with America in general now, as we have become so desensitized to violence that we've lost our compassion and our empathy. We don't care about our elderly. Our elderly blames everybody under the sun rather than the elderly teaching the younger generation moral values. They just want to sneer and point their finger and blame the younger generations for screwing everything up. And the younger generation saying the older generations are trying to bring them down. Guys, we need to stop finger pointing. Stop pointing fingers, stop assigning blame. Everybody's to blame. myself included. We have screwed up the world and our country because we don't want to show compassion to one another when we come forward with a problem. We don't want to show empathy when somebody's going through something that maybe we can relate to. We don't want to help others out of the kindness of our heart because it doesn't benefit us. It's always, what's in it for me? I will admit, I'm a greedy person. I have no shame in admitting that I'm greedy. But I also am not ashamed to admit that I try my damnedest to be a stand-up and good person as much as possible. Not because that's just the way that I was taught, but I know in my hardest of hearts that that's who I want to be. And I think I'm going to leave it at that because everything afterwards is just me rambling, and I don't need to do that. We're already at an hour and 2 minutes, hour and 3 minutes. This is longer than I really wanted it to be, but it's so funny. I'm playing a demo of a game, and yet it's brought out these raw emotions of mine. But that's not a bad thing, guys. It's a good thing because you guys get to see kind of another layer or another side of me that you don't really see beyond the happy, bombastic Steve that you're used to seeing. You're seeing a Steve that really does care about the people around him and is just trying to find ways to help them out, even if it's through a small means like this. So take care, guys. I hope that y'all have a good day. Anybody watching this after the fact, just have a good, just try to have a good day. Try to have a good night if you're watching this at nighttime. And just please remember to try and help somebody, even if it's one person. Even if it's helping an old lady cross the street, helping an old person down an escalator, etc. or so forth. Just, pay kindness forward. Because when you pay kindness forward, then there's a chance that person will do the same. And then we'll start having more acts of kindness and compassion and empathy. So I'll leave you guys with that thought. I need to actually get going because it's almost, at the time of this recording, it's 10:54 in the morning. And I gotta leave for work pretty shortly. So I will catch you guys later.